Greetings and welcome to this edition of Faith to Live By. I'm Pam Christian, your host of this weekly podcast since July 2020, when I had to take to the airwaves to apply my journalistic and radio broadcasting experience to help us learn the truth. In 2020, many of us all around the world abruptly woke up to the realization that something was terribly wrong, that we were not being properly informed. Our government, media, and medical professionals were highly suspect of putting the general population in harm's way based on the tyrannical management of what we were told was a global pandemic. It soon became evident we were being lied to and manipulated, and the governments around the world were cooperating in some sort of a secret, sinister plan against humanity. It wasn't long into the COVID-19 pandemic that I learned about the corruption of big pharma, the corruption of private corporations with the banking systems, the government control of media, the 13 families that ruled the world, the 1871 sellout of our nation to the Brits, subjecting the United States to the international cabal. I also learned about the Georgia Guidestones, the Bilderberg Group, the World Economic Forum, the corruption of the United Nations and the World Health Organization, all leading to the existence and plans of the self-appointed globalists, and so much more, which is everything I have shared with you each and every week so more of us can be informed and armed with truth. Back then, anyone who dared to oppose the official narrative was harshly dealt with and labeled as conspiracy theorists. Thousands of people were fired from their jobs for refusing to take the untested and mandatory so-called vaccine. Those who failed to take the jab were ostracized, causing serious rifts in families, friends, and neighbors. Pastors who did not close their churches were hunted down and arrested. I think especially of Pastor Artur Pawlowski of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I think of the valiant efforts of truckers in Canada leading what became known as the Freedom Convoy, only to find their personal bank accounts frozen and more tyrannical actions against them by their own government. I think of what the governments of Australia and New Zealand did, not to mention what occurred in the United States, the European Union, and many other countries. I was among those who were accused of promoting disinformation and subjected to having my social media accounts shut down. But looking around at the company I was in with all the others who were being labeled, ostracized, and courageously working to get the truth out, I was not about to stop. It was during this time that I learned of my guest joining me again today, Dr. Peter McCullough. I hope you had a chance to listen to last week's episode, which is part one of my two-part interview with him. So much has been brought to the light of truth these past 5 years, and at this point in time, it is critical we not forget any of the truths we've learned, especially in light of what Dr. McCullough confirms regarding the highly anticipated release of another deadly virus, and also in light of what God has revealed through his written word, the Bible, and through his modern-day servants, the prophets, whose published words I have faithfully brought you and will bring you again today. The intensity, frequency, and content of prophecies from God about what we can expect in the present days and into next year provide evidence that we are very soon to experience massive, simultaneous, unprecedented events worldwide as he intervenes to administer both judgment and justice. I think finally a good majority of people have become aware that what we have experienced over the past 5 years has been an unprecedented intensification of the ancient war between good and evil. I've explained the existence of both good and evil many times in my weekly podcasts and all throughout my multi-award-winning Faith to Live By book series, so I won't elaborate on that now. But as a woman in Christian ministry and media, as a teacher and speaker for over 30 years now, earnestly working to help people discover and live in life-giving truth and experience all the hope truth provides, I must say, because more people are awake to this now, I have greater hope and expectation at this point than I have ever had. This renewed enthusiasm has come at just the right time because I will admit I have been growing weary and well-doing for not seeing greater expansion of my reach with all the work I've done. All these years, I have wholly invested myself in teaching and speaking efforts, in my book series and my podcast, without even coming close to covering my hard costs, let alone being compensated for my time and effort as the world measures compensation. However, I have had individuals show their support in a variety of ways. I think of Ed and Carmelita, Sue, Elizabeth, Jimmy, Larry and Rita, and many others through the years. As much as I'd like to have thousands of more people aware of the work I've done and continue to do, I am driven not to give up regardless, because I'm influenced by 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 58, which says, "Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that your labor is not in vain in the Lord." End quote. In all honesty, there have been many times I have been deeply discouraged, not seeing my audience grow as I'd like, not hearing from people to know how my work is affecting them, and not seeing my books sell as I would like, and not experiencing the reach I'd like in this world. But I cannot stop working to discover and share truth, because I very much want as many people as possible to be set free with the truth, specifically the truth of Jesus. As much as the enemy wanted the assassination of Charlie Kirk to silence the voice of Christians who promote truth and national sovereignty, it has backfired against the enemy. Instead, all of us who have been part of this effort of promoting truth are fortified and emboldened all the more. And I'm greatly honored to have Dr. Peter McCullough back on again today to help us apply all we have learned over the past 5 years to successfully fend off the next round of anticipated enemy efforts intended to kill any opposition to their sinister plans. Now, before I start the interview with Dr. McCullough, I must remind you, if you have been thinking of joining us on our ground tour of Greece in April next year, now is the time to get your name in and the number of people in your party. Confirmations and deposits for reservations will be expected in November. We want to get a group of about 30 people signed up because this size group is best for this type tour, and the more people who sign up, the less the trip costs each of us. Some who previously signed up have had to let me know that their plans changed, which means we have more spots available now, which we want to fill up. At this point, it's just a matter of putting your name in on the reservation list with your final confirmation next month. I'll explain more about the process of placing your reservation later in this podcast, but I urge you, please do not delay. Now, let me bring on Dr. McCullough. Dr. McCullough's official bio is impressively lengthy, and it can be read on the American Journal of Cardiology website. For the purposes of this introduction, however, please note Dr. McCullough is an internist, cardiologist, epidemiologist, holding degrees from Baylor University, University of Texas Southwestern Medical School, University of Michigan, and Southern Methodist University. Dr. McCullough is broadly published on a range of topics in medicine, with over 1,000 publications and over 700 citations in the National Library of Medicine. Dr. McCullough is a well-known public figure in medicine and is a frequent contributor on numerous mainstream and independent media platforms. He has testified multiple times in the United States Senate, the United States House of Representatives, European Parliament, and many state capitals concerning public health policy. Please ready yourself to hear directly from him now and expect to gain a great deal for your personal benefit and to share with those you love from this interview.
And you know, in May of 2022, in Lancet, the WHO Solidarity Research Group reevaluated their position on remdesivir. They looked at all the additional studies of remdesivir, and they concluded, they were right from the beginning, remdesivir never should have been used. And do you know that not a single state in the United States, Health and Human Services, or the U.S. CDC, FDA, or the National Institutes of Health, or the Infectious Disease Society of America, none of them have reevaluated remdesivir. None of them have even recognized the WHO statement on remdesivir.
Dr. McCullough, would you be able to provide any conjecture on why?
In the United States, what was known is that our Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services had put a premium reimbursement on remdesivir. So if hospitals used it, they got enhanced reimbursement. And I think because of that, all the agencies and all of the stakeholders here were willfully blind to the WHO's clear warning that remdesivir doesn't work and it provides harm. But everybody out there listening needs to understand that the pandemic was a time of incredible corruption, nefarious activities, fraudulent misrepresentation, fraudulent concealment. And yet this was all out in the open. You can go on the WHO website and there it is. Don't use remdesivir.
Dr. McCullough, there's been chatter, I'll just call it chatter, that there are plans and designs to unleash another virus, probably worse than what we knew about COVID-19. Do you know anything about that?
All of the key figures, including Anthony Fauci, Bill Gates, Ashish Jha, the White House coronavirus advisor, the World Economic Forum, CEPI, the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness and Innovation, they've all publicly stated that there will be another pandemic. They call it Disease X. And they've all agreed it will come out of another biolab. It'll be another man-made creation. So everyone is in the open about this. It's going to happen again now. And, those involved, including CEPI, that was formed by the World Economic Forum and the Gates Foundation, they have said in their business plan in 2017 that there will be only one response to the next pandemic, and that's going to be more global vaccination.
Dr. McCullough, this is very disheartening news, but we have the ability to be prepared. And you are in such a perfect position to help us, my listeners, know what we need to do to get our health on track, especially if we did contract COVID or we took the vaccine, and what we need to do to remain as healthy as possible so that when this disease X is released, we have every opportunity for survival.
I completely agree. And, all of us have been affected by the pandemic. 97% of us have gotten the infection. And then sadly, in the United States, 81% of Americans took a vaccine. Now, fortunately, 19% didn't. I didn't take the vaccine. It was not safe enough for me or my patients, but so many people did. And this is what we've learned. The infection and the vaccine install a protein in the body called the spike protein. Human enzymes cannot break it down. So whether you've had COVID or you've had the vaccine, you have the spike protein in your body. Now, hopefully, slowly over time, the body has an ability to clear it. If you've just had mild COVID without any systemic symptoms, it's likely you got very little in the body. The only way we can tell if spike protein is truly a problem in your body is we measure an indirect test called antibodies against the spike protein. Now, in the United States, this is the most commonly used blood test, I think, of modern times. And LabCorp, one of our major lab providers in the United States, now offers this just on demand. You don't need a doctor to get this test. So you go to LabCorp on Labs on Demand, click on infectious diseases, and click on COVID antibody test, sign up, get in the LabCorp account, pay $69, and go in and get your blood test done at a LabCorp facility. We have them in every city in America. And then the next day, you'll find out your test. This is very important. Now, if the spike antibody is less than 1,000 units per ml, chances are there's no more spike in the system, your body has cleared it out, or you had a mild infection. It's very, very fortunate. Every paper published on this, people under 1,000 are fine. Now, once we get up to 5,000 on this test, in our research, we've found circulating spike protein in the bloodstream. In addition, circulating vaccine in the bloodstream, even 3.2 years after the shots.
Wow.
No wonder people are getting blood clots and having cardiac arrests and what have you, and strokes. No wonder the spike protein is abundant in the human bloodstream. Once we get to 10,000, 15,000, over 25,000 on this test, I can tell you patients are predictably sick with all kinds of medical problems. So it's really due to the spike protein. This spike protein was engineered in the Chinese biosecurity lab in Wuhan, China, and that's what's in the bloodstream of so many Americans, Canadians, and people walking around. This is really absolutely astonishing. And so the test is critical. Let me give you an example. I didn't take the vaccine, but I treated lots of patients face-to-face. I even made some house calls, so I had a lot of exposure during the pandemic. My ears were ringing after a period of time a few years ago. I checked my blood test. I was at 2,300. So for sure, I had some significant spike exposure. Now, remember, it's an antibody. It's not a direct test. So it's the antibody. Antibodies will be produced if the spike protein is still present. They will drop off over about 6 months if there's no more spike protein. So I go on the McCullough protocol spike detoxification approach, which was first published in 2023 in the Journal of American Physicians and Surgeons, later on in Springer Nature Curious Journal of Biomedical Sciences. And this is a combination of nattokinase, bromelain, and curcumin. You can now get that in a product on Amazon, as well as directly from the website, called the Ultimate Spike Detox from the Wellness Company. It's in a gold label bottle, Ultimate Spike Detox from the Wellness Company. twc.health/courage. That'll get you the Ultimate Spike Detox. Well, I took this myself. I followed the directions on the bottle. And over about 9 months, I slowly got better. I rechecked my blood test. I was now 900. I was below that 1,000. My ear ringing is probably about 90% improved. I feel great. I'm jogging. I just feel wonderful. Now, let me give you, I told you, I have patients in my office at 15,000 and 20,000 with heart damage, cardiac arrest, blood clots. It's just horrible. But a great mystery to me was my mother-in-law. She's 92. She's from Toronto. My wife's from Toronto, by the way. And in order to get her out of Toronto through the pandemic, she had to be vaccinated. So she took 2 Pfizer shots. She said she doesn't even remember it. She had no sore arm, no symptoms whatsoever, none. And she lives with us, so I've been carefully monitoring her. No problems at all. No vaccine problems at all. I just couldn't believe it. So I checked her blood test this year, and it turns out her spike antibodies, 200, lower than me. So how can someone take the vaccine? Normally the average person takes the vaccine, the test is 11,000, 18,000, right? The vaccine is 10 times stronger than the virus in terms of spike protein exposure. How could my mother-in-law be 200? The answer is not all the vials were the same. Some vials of vaccine were like taking duds or placebo. They must have had very little active messenger RNA. Other vaccine vials were super loaded with spike protein. That's now been shown in 2 papers by Dr. Vibeke Manichi from Denmark. Not all the vials were the same. So I think everybody should get out their vaccine card and take a look. I know the Pfizer vials pretty well, 4,500 different batches. If your Pfizer batch started with an E as in Edward, watch out. You probably had one of the more lethal vials. You can go on howbadismybatch.com. You can look up your vaccine. You'll find 25% of the batches actually did cause at least 1 death. You can figure out if you're in one of the dangerous batches or not. That can be reassuring. Some people now are going absolutely nuts with anxiety over taking these shots. And I can understand why. It's so dangerous to see what's happened to human health. So go to howbadismybatch.com. Look up and if you've taken Pfizer, Moderna, Janssen, AstraZeneca, you can look them up and see if you've had a dangerous batch or no. Now, a safe vaccine, there should be no deaths and really no serious adverse events. Vaccines really need to be safe for us to take them. We can't take risks, and you can't have a healthy person lose their life with a vaccine trying to prevent an illness, right? I mean, it's just, vaccines are not treating a lethal illness. They're trying to prevent it. We can't tolerate any deaths with vaccination. So that's the update. Most people are on the Ultimate Spike Detox from the Wellness Company. Get it through Amazon. Get it through the website. Virtually all my patients, I've got thousands of patients under treatment. We've published as best we could in the peer-reviewed literature. The spike levels clearly go down and people get better, but it takes about a year.
Okay, you've provided so much helpful information. Howbadismybatch.com is something I didn't know about, and I know my audience members will be really glad to learn about that as well. Now, you talked about people who are going mad with anxiety, understandably so, but as you talked about the product from the Wellness company, the Ultimate Spike Detox. Are there other things that people can do to regain their health? And what would you recommend for people maybe in specific situations?
There are a couple other kind of natural products, and I'm a allopathic doctor. I prescribe medications, and so I usually look for prescription medications first. But in this case, the natural approach really is better based on the data. Everybody should be taking a vitamin D supplement, and at the McCullough Foundation, we've studied this. The average amount of vitamin D that someone should be taking per day is 10,000 units. And multiple studies show it helps prevent COVID, reduces the severity of COVID. It actually helps people get through these complications of COVID and the vaccine. So vitamin D, for sure, everybody should be on that. Another supplement with emerging data from Europe is called N-acetylcysteine, or NAC, at least one capsule twice a day, 400 milligrams. I think that would be wise to do. Now, medicines and supplements can only go so far. Two papers by Hanna and colleagues showed that the messenger RNA and the spike protein come out in breast milk. So that's horrifying to think that the baby has taken on this in the GI tract, but it probably has in vaccinated mothers. But the good news is breast milk is modified sweat. And so if one sweats reliably, they're getting the vaccine and the spike protein out of their body. So I tell my patients, get out there and sweat, go to saunas. And the patients that I've had that have been most successful, they literally have sweated it out of their body.
Wow.
And so it's super important. If you can't sweat enough, some people live at northern climates, they don't sweat much. Go to a sauna. It's well worth it for the wintertime. Go to a sauna as much as you can, bring in a lot of fluids, and sweat like crazy. You'll feel so much better. And so you reliably get it out of your body, both the vaccine and the spike protein.
All right. So the LabCorp testing is where people should start first, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then from that, based on what you've shared, we've got some ideas of some protocols. Now, would a person take the LabCorp test results to their medical doctor? What would you recommend?
They should. A lot of medical doctors don't want to face the music on this. They're afraid. They've also taken the vaccine. So they may tend to, in a sense, ignore the patient's concerns. So they can go to McCullough Foundation and Focal Points, follow our work on this. We've published step-by-step on what to do. Most will need the Ultimate Spike Detox, 2 capsules twice a day on an empty stomach. Under doctor's supervision or, careful observation, we can go to 4 capsules twice a day on an empty stomach. The side effect of the Ultimate Spike Detox is that it's a mild blood thinner. And so people need to be aware of that. But you can co-administer it with aspirin and other blood thinners, just have to be wary of the side effects. It's a good idea for people to get out there and sweat. I really, really believe in that. Another non-medicinal thing that really works is hyperbaric oxygen. Now, it's very expensive. It's approved to treat diabetic wounds. It's used to treat concussions and other tissue injury syndromes. But let me tell you what, if you have long COVID or you have a vaccine problem, the hyperbaric oxygen in every single study has been positive. And it takes probably a minimum of 6 sessions, 90 minutes a session, but it may take 20, even up to 45 sessions. But I encourage patients to do it to try to seek hyperbaric oxygen. Because again, you can only do so much with the medicines and supplements. Okay.
Again, such valuable information. Now, if one's medical doctor is not really willing to be sympathetic with the patient's concerns, you said they can go to your website. Would you provide that information again? I want to make sure my listeners have every opportunity to get the help that they need.
So go to Substack. So, in Google, put Substack and then Focal Points. Focal Points is the name. There's about 50,000 Substacks newsletters out there. Subscribe to Focal Points. It's free. You'll get it every day. You'll get the critical information, the graphical abstracts with links. Everything I do is evidence-based, and people know me when I go on national TV. I'm always citing the data like I've done today. And I've testified 5 times in the U.S. Senate, multiple times U.S. Congress. I was just at the White House recently, and I can tell you, I am viewed as an authority on this, and I really, want people to understand this. I've put all my scholarship in, and I haven't been wrong on any of these concepts. early treatment was the right concept, and detoxification is the right concept. Now, let me tell you what, let's talk about some of the severe syndromes. If someone has COVID vaccine heart damage, myocarditis, in addition to the spike detoxification, they will need a prescription drug called colchicine, colchicine, colchicine. It's used to treat gout, but it's mandatory in myopericarditis at least for a year, okay? If someone has an autoimmune syndrome, the blood tests have turned positive. It's called the ANA, the anti-nuclear antibody, the rheumatoid factor, and people are miserable with joint pain, hair falling out, all kinds of problems. They will need a drug called hydroxychloroquine, which we use for rheumatoid arthritis and lupus, and they'll need that at least 90 days, if not a year. If patients have headaches, persistent loss of taste and smell, lancinating pain, persistent pulmonary findings on X-ray or CT, or skin rashes, they will need ivermectin. That's in my clinical practice, ivermectin, a full day. Someone your size would probably take 24 milligrams of ivermectin a day for 90 days. For the skin rashes, we actually now have ivermectin cream. So you can get ivermectin at the wellness company, twc.health/courage, and you'll get the prescriptions and they'll get shipped out to you ASAP. So this will help a lot. People still have trouble getting ivermectin at their local pharmacies.
All right. Getting back to some of the actions that our governments are taking, are you working closely with Mr. Kennedy?
I frequently get calls, and I've tried to help as much as I can. My role has largely been to help sick patients who reach out to him, and then he reaches out to me. But if I could provide some advice at a national level, I really think we need doctors with medical authority supervising Kennedy and everyone else. Right now, we just don't have anybody in Washington who is authoritative on these topics. We just don't have a single one. And what I mean authoritative is, we have to make the call to pull the COVID vaccines off the market. They're not safe. Recently, our CDC has backed away from universal recommendations. You can see they're kind of backtracking on the vaccines, but they just need to be pulled off the market. That's what I would do. And then we need to launch a tremendous amount of research into the spike protein and what's going on in people's bodies. We need an FDA-approved spike protein test beyond the antibodies. And then we need clinical trials of all of these approaches. Ultimate spike detox should be in a large prospective randomized trial. So should N-acetylcysteine. We should be tracking people's outcomes. Everybody who's dying today, who didn't have an expected death, they're just found dead, they should have an autopsy, and the tissues should be stained for the spike protein, and there should be what's called reverse qPCR done to detect Pfizer and Moderna in the tissues. When this has been done, the vaccine has been found to be the cause of death.
And that's not something we're hearing very much about.
We've published this in the peer-reviewed literature. The first author is Hauscher. I'm the senior author. The journal Science, Public Health Policy, and the Law. So another good website to go to is called ipac.edu, ipak.edu. And look at the journal, Science, Public Health Policy, and the Law. It's not influenced by pharmaceutical companies, and it's doing wonderful work on bringing forward the science.
Dr. McCullough, I can't thank you enough. In closing, what would you like to say to my audience and the doctors that are in my audience, the professionals that are in my audience, as well as the patients?
I think everybody should recognize that both the virus, SARS-CoV-2 infection, and the vaccines have caused damage to human health. It's due to retention of the spike protein. Everybody should try to measure how much damage they've taken on in their bodies. Get this spike protein antibody test. Thank goodness LabCorp is offering it without a doctor's order. Just go into LabCorp. Again, go to labcorp.com, tests on demand, infectious diseases, COVID antibody, pay $69 and go get your test and figure out where you are. If you're under 1,000, you're fine. Over 1,000, I start to get worried. Over 5,000, I'm real worried. And everybody should be doing something. The Ultimate Spike Detox, which is nattokinase, bromelain, and curcumin, these are very healthy supplements. They are used worldwide, actually, to prevent heart disease, to manage arthritis and other problems. So, we probably should be taking these anyway. it's been my consistent observation that once people start McCullough protocol-based spike protein detoxification, that is the ultimate spike detox, they get better. It just takes time. It takes probably over a year or longer. And that everybody should, get ready. If indeed there's going to be another pandemic at the wellness company, we offer medical treatment kits. We have treatment kits now that you can order, have it pre-prescribed and get shipped out to your house. Check out twc.health/courage and get a medical treatment kit. We have them at home right now, so we're ready to go. Because last time when people started getting sick, the pharmacy shut down and a lot of them wouldn't provide medications to people. So go to the wellness company and get a medical emergency kit. See, what I've done in my career is I've tried to provide practical information to people, and that's the reason why so many people follow me.
Dr. McCullough, thank you so very, very much. I look forward to having you back on the program in the future. I hope that this additional Plandemic will not be released. We need to pray against that. But in the event it does get released, we will definitely need to hear from you again.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll agree the content in this week and last week's podcast is essential for as many people to know as possible, especially in light of all Dr. McCullough had to say about the recovery from vaccine injury and the very high potential of another virus being released in the near future. For these reasons, I must challenge you to be sure you share this podcast with all of your friends and family to help as many people as we can know how to protect themselves and their loved ones. I have the links to the two sites Dr. McCullough mentioned in the show notes, LabCorp and howbadismybatch.com. I also have the link to Dr. McCullough's site, The Wellness Company, that you'll want to be sure your friends and family also have. Just this week, I read where there has been a very serious outbreak of a new strain of monkeypox in Los Angeles. I've also provided you a link from the World Health Organization that provides a listing of all virus outbreaks worldwide that would be good for you to view from time to time. On a global scale, they have reported the spread of chikungunya virus disease. However, I don't think this is the virus Dr. McCullough stated is expected to be released, and I want to say here, regardless, do not let them put you in fear or panic mode. No matter what the enemy of God tries to do, we have God's promises for a way of escape unto victory if we do as God instructs. God has graciously been providing us with warnings and instructions for victory over the enemy's efforts in ever-increasing measure in recent days. Although I'd like you to watch Julie Green's podcast since October 8th to get the succession of instructions God has provided, let me share with you what he provided that Julie Green published on October 14th, 2025. It's titled, "The Time of a Great Silence is Coming." In this word, God said, quote, "My children, the pressure is building against the enemies of Almighty God. It is like a ticking time bomb that has been set and is about to go off. Darkness is waging a war against you and my nations. What they are about to do will set off a chain reaction of events. Truth, exposures, removals, and of course arrests, along with martial law, blackouts, and lock-ins. The time of a great silence is coming." Now let me interject here. God started off by speaking of the nations, plural. So clearly all the nations of the world will be impacted. However, what follows in this word is specific to events in the United States, highlighting the ripple effect it will have on the rest of the nations of the world. So back to quoting what God said through Julie Green, quote, "My children, are you ready for this nation to be shut down again? But this time it is to relieve you of your enemies, break their systems, and destroy their power. Do you understand what truly needs to take place to get your country and your freedoms back from terrorists, murderers, globalists, and tyrannical deep state establishment that is hidden in the shadows of your government, your judicial system, your states, and your cities? Your enemies are everywhere throughout your nation, blending in like normal people until they are ready to strike you and this nation down. They want this nation dead, and they want you dead because this nation is in their way, and so are you. These people are your neighbors, city council members, mayors, and governors. They are in police departments and in the military. Do you understand how deeply embedded they are in every aspect of your country and your lives? This is not to bring fear, but to bring you awareness of the severity of the situation and how drastically things will change in your lives and nation to bring your enemies down. This will be a violent shaking, but I am your protector. I am your defender. I am your deliverer, so do not fear. Something is about to be set off in Los Angeles, Portland, Chicago, New York, Austin, Detroit, Boston, and Atlanta. Triggers have been set, but not the triggers that you are thinking of. Your enemies are desperate to bring social unrest, terrorist attacks, and viruses. They are giving the green light for sleeper cells to wake up and to start causing more chaos and mayhem. You will also hear of an earthquake in this nation, a large one, that will get this country's attention. The spiritual shaking that is happening will set off a physical shaking. Arrests involving well-known people are about to take place, some from the left, but also some from the right. These arrests will spark confusion and fear of a civil war that cannot be stopped. There is so much going on behind the scenes, underground, and off the radar that most people living around the world have no idea is happening to stop the globalists' genocide and the release of a virus that could kill billions instead of millions. My army is in place throughout the nations, stopping this bioweapon from being released into the air. Yes, one they want to release into the air so there would be nowhere to hide from it. They want to bring death to as many as they can. They are using this weapon and threatening your president that if he does not back off, it will go off. But little do they know, my David already has what he needs to stop it from being set off. My infiltrators are in the right places everywhere worldwide to stop the globalists' reset and to stop them from devouring the United States and Israel. My nations will grow stronger as your enemies grow weaker. Unprecedented moves are being made to save lives and to save the nations around the world from AI domination, the mark of the beast, and the digital economy that your enemies in your government and the global elites have almost achieved. My children, you are living in the end of the end days. Drastic measures are being taken to save the world from the fall, along with stopping the Great Tribulation before its time. It will come, but it is not for now. The angel of death is coming, and morgues will fill up. I have been telling you this, but are you prepared to see it and to hear about it? Your enemies have brought death to millions, so now the judgment of death will hit them. This is a time to pray. This is a time to fight like never before. Do not back off or back down. Use the sword of the Spirit like never before. Prepare your hearts for the unprecedented changes that are taking place to set you free, says the Lord of hosts. End quote. Likewise, God has been revealing what he plans for the nations of the world through Amanda Grace and others. I hope to have Amanda back on my podcast in the near future. And by the way, please let me know of any guests you'd like me to have on this podcast. Along with warnings God has consistently offered us, the hope of his promises for justice, and how all he is doing to right the evils in our midst will result in astounding benefits and blessings such as we have never before known. God's glory will fill this earth, and there will be no mistaking that what has happened on this earth could only be God. Along with God's judgment and justice, the great billion-soul harvest is imminent, and God has been lovingly warning us to prepare ourselves for what is ahead. I have a couple of different guest potentials for next week, but regardless of who I'm able to confirm, you can be assured I will always help us seek to discover and live in life-giving truth and experience all the hope truth provides. Now I ask you to please listen to my closing announcements and to take advantage of the many goods and services I bring you in an effort to at least cover the cost of this podcast. The first announcement clarifies more about the changes to our Greece tour scheduled for April 2026. If you haven't already signed up to join us, please listen carefully and follow the instructions because I really want all of us to be able to meet up in Greece. It may seem far off, but most people make plans for a significant vacation about a year in advance. So if you haven't already expressed interest in traveling with us in April 2026, now is the time to do so. We want to have about 30 people total because this size group works best for the specific tour I have in mind. We'll be walking the footsteps of the Apostle Paul. I'm using the time between now and October 2025 to determine if we have enough interest, and the trend indicates we definitely should. We have just about 30 people on the list now, but I'd like to have more because when it comes to the actual day of making a commitment, things could have changed, and I want to be able to have at least 30 actually attend the tour. So, if you think you'd like to be part of the Faith to Live By Christian tour with me in Greece during April 2026, now's the time to get your name and number in your party on the list. There's no obligation at this point, you're just expressing your interest. Attendees need to arrange their own air travel to and from the Athens International Airport. To get your name on the list, send an email to faithtoliveby@PamelaChristianMinistries.com with the word Greece in the subject line. In the body of the email, provide your name, contact information, and number of people you expect to be in your party. This will place your name on the interested in attending list, but does not obligate you in any way. It merely assures you have first right of refusal when down payments are due. If you didn't get the details written down that I just shared, simply visit my Beyond the Podcast page using the link in the show notes. If you like what you hear from me with this podcast, I highly recommend my book series, my award-winning blog, and consider signing up for my certificate course in apologetics. My aim with that course is to help people learn how not only to use apologetics to share truth with others, but to help Christian leaders incorporate apologetics into their respective ministries so more Christians are learning how to share their faith. You can learn more by using the link in the show notes. For now, I offer my weekly podcasts, my blog, and bi-monthly e-newsletter at no cost. And certainly I have hard costs associated with doing all I do. If you've been blessed by my work and would like to help my work reach others, why not consider partnering with me? For as little as $10 a month, you can become a partner. Then together we can reach even more people for Jesus. Simply visit my Pamela Christian Ministries homepage and then click on the Give button at the top menu bar. Or if you prefer, you can go directly to the Give page using the link in the show notes. To become a partner, you can use my PayPal or Venmo account, but you will also see other ways you can support my work on that page. Whether you choose to become a monthly partner, give a one-time donation, purchase my books and products from my web store, or support my affiliate sponsors, anything you can do to help me continue this work would be greatly appreciated. And as always, your prayers and telling others about me and my ministry work is much needed. When it comes to my selection of affiliate sponsors, I first look for Christian-owned and operated businesses, and I make a point of personally using the products or services so I can fully endorse them. I seek sponsors that offer products or services you can get via the internet worldwide, and I specifically consider what is common to most people universally. So you'll find health, beauty, and wellness products through Dr. Zelenko's Z-Stack supplements and from QE Strong. Dr. Zelenko's Z-Stack supplements are truly amazing and are available to my listeners for a 5% discount per purchase or a 10% discount for a monthly subscription using the promo code FTLB. You may have heard my interview with Rob Renee about QE Strong. Discover the benefits of quantum energy to overcome all sorts of ailments. Visit QEstrong.com and use the promo code FTLB at checkout to receive your discount. Then my newest affiliate I'm really excited to bring you is Q Streaming. That's CUE Streaming Television. People with United States addresses can get over 3,000 channels, including live TV with streaming television without a contract. Get all of your local networks and favorite movie and sports and pay-per-view channels for about half of what cable costs. See the video promo link in the show notes to learn more. Affiliate sponsors only provide financial support to me when you purchase what they offer. So before you support Amazon or any other retailer, if I offer what you're looking for, please purchase through me. When it comes to special occasions, birthdays, or Christmas gifts, consider my books, jewelry, CDs, and more from my web store or any of the affiliate goods and services I offer. When you purchase from my web store, be sure to use the promo code TRUTH, TRUTH, to receive a 20% discount. Again, you'll find all the links in the show notes. If you like the content and resource material I bring you with this podcast, you'll find much more by connecting with me through my blog. In fact, my blog has been awarded 2 unsolicited awards for Christian content. And I'm also very active on social media. I can cover much more on social media than I can with this weekly podcast. And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to my complimentary bi-monthly e-newsletter. I offer encouragement, special offers, and one of my signature recipes with each and every edition. Yep, I'm a foodie and I love to entertain, which is why Faith, Family, Friends, and Food is a bonus segment of my bi-monthly e-newsletter. To receive even more, please be sure to check out my dedicated podcast listeners page, Beyond the Podcast. Here's where we can connect exclusively and you can download complimentary devotionals, resources, and more. On that page, I also ask you to help me learn more about you and what you want by completing the form visible once you scroll down that page. And something that is very easy for you to do and would mean a lot to me is for you to rate, subscribe, or comment on this podcast according to what your preferred listening platform allows. You know how it works. The more likes and subscriptions to this podcast, the more opportunity we have to expand the listening audience. And that means we can reach more people with the gospel message of Jesus while helping people learn how to better apply their Christian faith. I hope you'll join me next week and tell your friends and family to listen right here on Faith to Live By, where we learn how to gain spiritual victory over life's issues. Until next week, I'm Pam Christian, asking you to remember Christ died for us. The least we can do is live for Him.